Before this video starts, I would like to mention that sorry it took this long to come out. So many things happened that were out of my control, and by many I mean only one thing, that being that my old laptop charger decided it had enough and it wanted to die, so I had to get a new one. So yeah, that's not exactly the best way to start the video, but at least it has come out by the time you're watching it. Anyways, back to your regularly scheduled programming. So, you've read the title of this video, you know exactly where this is going. We're talking about the Switch 2 again, but slightly differently. Now, for starters, I have already made a video or so talking about this from different perspectives. One being, wow, look at how cool this looks, Nintendo's at 4K finally, and the other half being, what do you mean most third-party games you don't actually own? What is this dark magic? But this is where the plot twist comes in. I got one. Okay, put your torches and pitchforks away, calm down, alright? I was gonna get this console regardless of if I was a YouTuber or not, but that just had to be mentioned. Okay, so let's start with the console's size. It's bigger than you think. I remember watching a lot of videos of people getting their Switch 2s on launch day, which, advice, never do that, ever. But yeah, when I got it in person, I was like, yeah, no, this is actually pretty big. I'm impressed. And the other selling point of the console is the Joy-Cons are magnetic now. And besides how cool the magnets are, also, sorry for me fumbling so much to put it in the console. I didn't mean for it to be like that. It's hard to record with one hand and do something with the other. But the Joy-Cons themselves feel way more comfortable to use. It makes the Switch 1 Joy-Cons look more pathetic in comparison, honestly. Okay, you've seen the console, now let's tackle the games. First off, we're going to be seeing Splatoon 3 on Switch 2. This is one of the lucky Switch 1 games that got a free update which enhances the game for a better experience. And let me tell you, a better experience is an understatement. Alright, let's start with the Plaza. Jesus Christ, it runs so much better. I thought Splatoon 3 already ran pretty well on Switch 1, but this is something else. I do apologise if all the footage I get for this video, this will apply to the later games we're going to be covering too, isn't as good. It has to be seen to be believed, honestly. But yeah, running at a nice crisp 60 frames a second, you love to see it. Right, let's start with some Turf War gameplay for Splatoon 3. One thing I noticed immediately was the load times were much quicker. Much quicker. Now, before this point, I wasn't really bothered with the load times. I was like, yeah, here's what it is. We wait this long, no big deal. You don't realise how big of a deal it is until you actually witness it in person. Also, I'd like to note, which I'll show a little video of a bit later in the video, the new Switch 2 Pro Controller feels really good. And it's smaller than the Switch 1 Pro Controller, which is good for those who, I guess, have slightly smaller hands. Unrelated note, well, actually, no, kind of related note. I have baby hands, unfortunately, so yeah, controllers like these would be quite helpful. I'd also like to mention that there are a lot more details in your character's outfit as well as, the environment around you. Who knew that putting a pre-existing game that already ran pretty well onto a new console with better hardware and software makes it look better? Wow, shocker. But yeah, I'm really impressed with all the changes made with Splatoon 3 with the migration to Switch 2. Also, this is fixed now, but there was a bug where if you had the Switch 1 version and you were playing Salmon Run, it was hell to play. But thankfully, like I've just mentioned, they have fixed that as of the making of this video, so that's nice. They did also fix the bug when the Switch 2 launched where you could squid roll or octo roll off of almost anything. I'm glad they did that because that wasn't exactly fair to those you were playing against, but yeah. I also noticed that the load time going into the stores as well was significantly less. Just less time across the board, honestly, waiting for things to happen. Now, I've not tested the story mode. I don't feel like it's that different, but who knows? Maybe someone who really pays attention to like details and stuff can tell me that actually no, it is greatly improved. It's just a bit harder to tell because story mode already ran well because it's story mode, it's single player. There's not really much going on besides fighting CPU, but yeah. Anyways, overall, I am really impressed with how Splatoon 3 has changed, even if it doesn't seem like much. But yeah, if you're someone who's been on the fence about getting into Splatoon, and presuming you've got the money, because yes, I'm aware the Switch 2 is expensive. That's kind of like saying the sky is blue, birds fly, animals eat, but yeah, if you are able to get a Switch 2, as well as Splatoon 3, now's the time to get into the franchise. And we're having a spin-off later down the line, so that's exciting stuff. Right, let's look at Salmon Run next, since that's going to be the one most of you are going to be intrigued with, because I just mentioned how they fixed the performance of this mode. But yeah, at first, it doesn't seem like much has changed. I mean, maybe you spotted on the helicopter, and I also spotted this before starting the match. You can see the details of your Grizzco outfit a lot better now. Like, the material of your hat and things like that. But I noticed as soon as the Salmonid numbers started to really increase and nothing dropped, that's where I was like, I get it now. Salmon Run is way more fun now, and it was already pretty fun as it is. But yeah, let me know if you were one of the poor unfortunate souls who witnessed the great terrible lag before it got patched on Switch 1. I am really sorry for you if you did have to go through that. But yeah, I'd also like to quickly mention, they did mention this in the 10.0/Splatoon Raiders reveal trailer, that you can still play with people on Switch 2. It's cross-platform. Don't worry, guys. Nintendo may have made some odd decisions, but they wouldn't make that terrible of a decision, right? Let's see how well this comment ages in a couple years. But anyway, I think the ink does look a bit better as well. It's a bit difficult to say, honestly, but who knows. Anyways, just like Turf War, 60 frames a second, no frame drops, and it's just nice to, you know, have way more Salmonids on screen and have it not really affect the game at all. That was a terrible stutter. This does get me excited for the future of the Splatoon franchise. Like people have already mentioned, mouse controls for the next mainline game would go crazy, but yeah, let's just focus on what we have now, which is Splatoon 3 on Switch 2 and Splatoon Raiders coming eventually. I am excited for Raiders, guys. I can't wait to see what they're going to do. My prediction of what genre of game it's going to be is probably survival game. Like, it looks way too much like a survival game. Some people theorize as well that with the robot buddy that we have, we might be able to go into it and go into underwater areas. Bro, you know I love Subnautica. I would absolutely love that, but obviously we don't have much information on the game at the moment. So, yeah, all we can do is theorize. I would also like to mention as well that, also as of the making of this video, Splatoon's Japan account did an oopsie. There was an image of some of the promotional characters, as well as a character from the manga, I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, but one of the characters had a piece of gear that's not in the game, or at least not yet. a pair of boots. Not just any old pair of boots. Fuzzy Ottolling boots. So everyone's freaking out. They're like, oh my god, are we going to get that? Now, a bit of a side thing to mention, just like I did with how I was excited for this franchise, is that people are rumouring and quote unquote leaking that the next Nintendo Direct is gonna happen in July. I mean, it would make sense because they just launched the console this month. You don't need to go overload, but then again, Nintendo have had some crazy announcements out of nowhere, so what do I know? My theory is that, and I really hope this happens, we finally get amiibo of Splatoon's villains. Come on, Nintendo. This is long overdue at this point. Where I'm guessing a hypothetical Mr. Grizz amiibo would give you the fuzzy Ottolling gear. And hopefully the hairstyle, but that might just be too much. The gear might be generous enough as it is. But yeah, back to the topic of this video. The gyro for Splatoon 3 feels a lot better as well, and just like I said with the performance, I thought the gyro was already pretty good feeling, but it's even better now, honestly. And having the bigger buttons, the more premium feeling buttons, goes a long way. Like, I didn't think much of that either, but actually it's really nice to have. I think the best thing about the button change is the minus and plus buttons. They're more upwards. They're not inwards pressing buttons anymore like on the Switch 1 Pro controller. They're more upwards. And I think that's good to keep the buttons as they should for longer. Yeah, it's a minor thing, but it's important to point out for the purpose of this review. So yeah, I'm going to leave you guys with the rest of this Salmon Run footage, and then we'll move on to the next game that I want to cover with regard to the Switch 2's performance and power. Right, let's move on to Fortnite. This is the one I was the most intrigued to see how it would perform. As for those of you who didn't know, for the longest time I've been playing on the Switch 1 version of the game. It's functional, it gets the job done, but it's less than ideal. I mean, you've probably seen videos, textures take longer to load in, your skins take longer to load in. One thing I didn't realise was that some of their effects didn't work as well as they do on Switch 2. And in general, it was just kind of a bare minimum, just about works kind of version. So, to my surprise, the Switch 2 version is a lot better. So, yeah, we'll get to the footage and we'll see if you're able to spot any differences. Again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, my camera quality or video capture quality is most likely not going to do the actual upgrades justice, so I hope you understand. Right, let's start with the loading area. Already, the brightness looks a lot better. With the Switch 1 version of the loading area, and I guess the game in general, if it was nighttime and I was like making videos when the day-night cycle was at night, that match, yeah, you couldn't see a thing. Whilst I noticed while getting the footage, it looked a lot better. And don't ask me why I have the Xenomorph as a skin. I just thought it would be funny to use for the background, but yeah, anyways, let's get into the match footage. Okay, so with the battle bus and dropping onto the island, again, immediately, I felt it ran a lot better. Now, quick mention again for the Switch 1 version of Fortnite. It ran at 30 frames a second, whilst I'm finally back with 60 frames a second. If you want to know kind of the specs, I guess, the Switch 2 is more powerful than a PS4, but it's not as powerful as a PS5, so that should clear some things up. But yeah, the skydive animation was a bit fixed. I thought it was weird that in later chapters that the skydive animation was just kind of stiff and didn't really move. Yeah, that's just the Switch 1 version having to compensate. Whilst with the Switch 2 version, it's like, nope, it's back to how it should be, which I'm glad. And the area here of Utopia City, the current Fortnite season as of this video, is superhero themed, with Superman being the collaboration skin. The place looks really nice. It really does. And you may have noticed in the loading area as well that the water actually looks like water. It's not some weird liquid anymore, which I also greatly appreciated the change. Yeah, you can see it's nighttime now, the day-night cycle. You can actually see what's going on now instead of being flashbanged with darkness as it normally is when I'm making a video. And the match just so happens to be nighttime for the day-night cycle in game, so yeah. I may as well mention that as of this video too, I had no idea that at this point they unvaulted some weapons, and they also added the Light Rider surfboard made of the res cubes. I did get to play it while I was waiting for my charger to arrive. It's a really fun mobility item. It's great. It's even got a little mode where you can move a bit more upwards temporarily, which I think is great. But yeah, the biggest thing I have to mention with Fortnite for Switch 2, I've been blessed with replay mode, baby. Thumbnails are finally going to actually be good or decent, as I had to solely rely on in-match screenshots, which with the UI, sure, most of you might not think it's a big deal, but some can find it disruptive, so I completely get it. But yeah, I was more than happy to have that accessible. Speaking of which, I'll show you a screenshot I took in replay mode in another match right here. I thought that this clip would be a nice little showcase of the graphics during daytime in game. So I landed right by the mountain with the wolf carving on it, or like the wolf statue. I think carving's a better way to put it because it is part of the mountain, but yeah, it does look really nice. I was pretty proud of myself having a nice little shot here. One of the rare moments where you're not dealing with an opponent. But yeah, 60 frames a second, who knew that would be such a game changer for a game like Fortnite. So yeah, I think we've had enough Fortnite for this footage. Let's move on to the game you've all been waiting for. Mario Kart World, baby, the launch title for the Switch 2. I was hyped for this the moment it got announced on the April 2nd Nintendo Direct focused on the Switch 2. And I am just really impressed. Also, the character I've been using for the footage is Parabidibud, and let's just say, this game made me a Parabidibud enjoyer. I mean, look at this little nugget of a creature, he sounds absolutely adorable. Starting with the game's UI, it does look pretty nice. And then you got the different game modes, but the one I'll be showing footage for first is Knockout Tour. Now, yeah, I've already been unlocking some outfits and whatnot, and some characters and carts. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with this. I wanted to play this game before actually making this review to truly enjoy it, and let's just say, that was the best decision I ever made. Ever since Nintendo announced Knockout Tour as a game mode for Mario Kart World, I already knew we had something fun and sweaty. Since, yeah, the whole concept is, and this is for Grand Prix as well, but I feel like it fits better here in Knockout Tour, where you drive your way to the next course, which they advertised heavily. But with Knockout Tour, you got to reach a certain placement or higher to stay in the race. That's right, if you go below a certain placement, you're out, bucko. Skill issue. So, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, the first couple times I played Knockout Tour, I got humbled by the CPU. Keep in mind, I was not playing online for this. I was playing against robots, CPUs. And they clowned me. They were like, oh, what was that? All of that past experience from past Mario Kart games? Yeah, that's nothing. Get good. Some of the techniques they added to this game are rail grinding, charge jump, and wall riding. I learned after this video and a lot later that in order to properly wall ride, you have to hold the drift button when you're on the wall. So that was pretty dumb. I wish I figured that out sooner, but yeah, you can get these food items called dash food, which I think's kind of cute, to unlock character outfits. Now, unfortunately, the distribution of said outfits is not very fair. It's mainly the main cast of characters, and you might get lucky if one of the NPCs have an outfit or two. Unfortunately, my sweet child Parabiddy Bud does not have a costume or an alternate look. At least not yet. People are theorising this game is going to get free updates, which that's a whole topic in itself for a video, but the SparkNotes version being that the Mario Sports games on Switch had this. Splatoon, I think, is the best example for this business model, but anyways, the Mario Sports games got butchered with this business model. Tennis Aces wasn't bad, it was alright, but as soon as we got to Mario Golf Super Rush, or as this totally overused joke, Mario Golf Super Rushed came out, that's when I noticed, yeah, this is not doing these games any service. I will never forget the heartbreak I felt when Mario Strikers Battle League had the soul sucked out of it. You remember Strikers Charged, how edgy and cool it was? And you know, how the characters had a lot of personality, seemed to have beef with each other, and you know, the sport felt like a kind of cultural thing? No. Let's just make it Mario Football, but still have them wear the armour like it is Strikers Charged. You know what, maybe this is for the better that PT Piranha never got added to the game. They probably would have sucked the soul out of him too, but anyways, I digress. Wow, that was another terrible stutter in this video. That's two terrible stutters. The sports model did not work for those games. However, Mario Kart World is in a much better position for this if they do decide to do it. Because at least you've got more things to do, like Grand Prix, Knockout Tour, time trials, playing online. As of this video as well, Nintendo made it, so if you select random, you're more likely to get an intermission now than a traditional race. Damn it, Nintendo, why are you like this? Anyway, I do think that the new mechanics for this game are pretty fun, if difficult to learn. And yeah, I'll leave you with this footage of this Knockout Tour match, because I'm not going to be able to keep speaking for the whole duration of it. So let me know how you feel about it, and let me know how good it feels, because I'm not sure if the footage does it justice, but I could be completely wrong. So yeah, there's Knockout Tour. So I do think this is a great addition to the franchise, and it makes the intermissions a lot more bearable, as I am aware that a lot of people do not like the intermissions, and I'll get a bit more into that later. So another thing I think I'd show is one particular part of the Grand Prix that I think is one of the best things about this game. It's from the Special Cup. So I think this goes without saying. Spoiler warning for the Rainbow Road in this game. Spoiler warning. If you do not want to be spoiled, click off now or press off now, whatever you're watching this on, and come back later once you've seen it yourself, or you've seen someone else play it on the console. Anyways, with that warning out of the way, let's get into it. Here we go. So, Rainbow Road. So first we've got the lead up to it, which I think they masterfully executed. That being, you just go straight towards it. I like the lights in the background. I do like that they do make a really big deal out of this. All the other Rainbow Roads, it's just, yeah, it's in this cup. I mean, it can look nice and all, but that's about it. But this one's different. It's like, no, it's like a big build up, you're really excited. You're going along the ocean, going to where the gate will take you up. Now, for context, I did already see what it looks like online, but obviously, again, the reason I didn't do this as soon as possible, besides my laptop charger no longer wanting to work, was because I wanted to really enjoy the moment myself. And let's just say I'm glad I did that. So there we go. We're going up the cannon. I love what they did with this. Made it go to white, and then revealed it here. Do you know what this reminds me of? The Mario movie, where they showed Rainbow Road for the first time. I feel like they got a lot of inspiration from that. And already, the rainbow looks like it's made of stained glass, which looks absolutely gorgeous. And the soundtrack absolutely slaps as well for this part. And yeah, if you looked at the lap count, yeah, this is the biggest track. And honestly, it deserves to be, because it's just really, really nice. And it just gets better, which we'll get to when we get to it. The little bits of rainbow falling off at the edges looks really nice as well. The stained glass effect and the colours they used also reminds me of some really highly saturated sugar sweets, or as you Americans call it, candy. Kind of reminds me of that as well. And people have noted that this Rainbow Road takes a lot from the previous ones, which I think is great. For a Rainbow Road that has been hyped for 11 years, you're going to want something that is spectacular. The whole shebang. Alright, this is the next section. Look at that water. Look at the environment. It just looks so nice. This water, I'm pretty sure, is what people describe drinking water at 3 AM is like. Just something else. Yeah, the water drifting takes a bit to learn. Most people recommend you just do little tippy taps instead of drifting. But yeah, there's a train as well. That's really cool. Nice little reference to another Rainbow Road with toads on it. I love that it's just in the sky and you can see the world below you as well. It is just really, really good. I'm going to be saying that a lot because that's all you can really describe Rainbow Road in this game as. Just really good. Just something else. A spectacle of its own. Right, this was part of the track that I didn't really expect when I first saw it online, but I thought this was cool. We're going to a space station. This little bitty bud. I wanted to show him off a little bit. Look at that. Nice little bit of changing scenery before getting to the main part, the last part. I like that it's a space station. Kind of like NASA, if you've seen whatever footage they've put out and whatnot. It just reminds me a lot of that, which I think was the intention. We've got Womps or Fromps back. I have no idea how they're even pronounced anymore. Who knows? Maybe my entire life and childhood I've been pronouncing them wrong. Bits of the I don't think this is bits of the rainbow actually. I think these are like the tiles for the satellite, but regardless, still looks absolutely gorgeous. And this is the best part. This is just the best part. You'll see what I mean when we get up to that point. Yep, we're going straight up. And that's the last bit of the track. It just looks so beautiful. I sadly get caught by the blue shell. But look at that. Look at the changing colours for the road. Oh yeah, the colours change in general like, a lot. They look absolutely gorgeous. Changing from like bright like pinks and yellows and oranges to like dark purples and blues. Nice little speed bit here. I'd like to think that's a little nod to F-Zero and the F-Zero tracks in Mario Kart 8. But I do think that's nice. You also get this like interesting gimmick where you have like blue fire coming out and you go even faster than you already do. And then there's another train which has all the other obstacles from other tracks there. I love that it's them cheering you on. What a track. That's all I can just say. What a track. Nintendo really did put a lot of work into this. And I do think they should pat themselves on the back for this part of the game. It is just really good. And I wouldn't have it any other way. So yeah, that's Rainbow Road. Sorry if it seemed like I was rambling for this section of the video, but it just needs to be seen, to be believed, honestly. And you guys have now seen it, or those who wanted to at least have seen it. So yeah, did very well for the Grand Prix. For Knockout Tour, the match I got footage for, I didn't do too badly myself. But yeah, that's Mario Kart World. I think it's a great entry, and I think it's a good choice that they made it the launch title, honestly. Alright, so here's the final verdict for the Switch 2 as a whole. I thought I'd leave this nice little screenshot I took of Peach in her vacation outfit in Free Roam. Let me know if this looks good from the screenshot quality. So yeah, the Switch 2. Overall, I think this is a great console, and it definitely utilises its power quite a bit. Now, with most people and their reviews, they only kind of say their opinion. However, I can completely understand that for those who play on other platforms like PlayStation, Xbox, PC, this might not look as impressive to you. Like, I get it. I really do. Nintendo has always somewhat been behind with their hardware and their software. I'm just happy they made it to this point, honestly. Like, we didn't think this would be possible, but it is. At the end of the day, what did we ask for near the end of the Switch 1 era? We wanted a more powerful Switch, and that's exactly what we got. I think that the games that I showed off in this video, as well as some others which I'll mention in a moment, they run so much better. Like, oh my god, they just run so much better. I didn't even think that they ran that badly on Switch 1, well, except for Fortnite, but now the games run so much better. I'll mention Pokemon Violet briefly. As much as I was on the fence about having it on Switch 2 because for some reason for games that don't support cloud saves and for demos, which I thought you'd be able to delete off normally, but nope, if you have parental controls, you've got to slap a pin in and then you get rid of it. Nintendo basically holds a gun to your head and goes, nope, you're going to transfer those games whether you like it or not. But I was pleasantly surprised. It's when I booted up Pokemon Violet with my save there. I feel very sorry for those who lost all of their progress. I really am. I was just bewildered at the 60 frames a second on Pokemon Violet of all games. Now, of course, the question does have to be asked. Did they improve the quality? No, not really. It's only the performance they improved. And yeah, I do get that graphics aren't everything. Gameplay is just as important. But with this whole free upgrade that the Gen 9 games got, now it begs the question, why didn't they wait to release these games on Switch too? Who am I kidding? Of course we know the answer to that question. Pokemon's an infinite money glitch, so of course they're going to do everything they can to rush these games out to make moolah. And yes, I know, I am the problem. I bought the game because I liked the concept despite its terrible performance. But anyways, back to how I feel about the console. Like I mentioned at the start of this verdict, I do think that this is a good console. I do think that the improvements made is enough for it to exist. But at the end of the day, it's your choice what you make with whatever money you have or things like that. If you don't want to get the system, that's fine. It's completely your choice. And I understand why a lot of people who had the intention to get it aren't for at least the first year or so. I get it, because there's not really much launch titles. Unless you want Mario Kart World, which, since I've played Mario Kart ever since I was a kid and loved it, yeah, I am a Mario Kart enjoyer, so of course this was going to be a system seller alongside some of the games that are backwards compatible with it. But yeah, only time will tell what the library's going to look like in a couple years' time, and I can't wait to see what they're cooking. Also, another mention, good job soldiers, good job not buying the game key cards, they're not selling well. Keep up the fight, you're doing great. Support Cyberpunk, that's the only third party that is actually fully on cartridge. Good job, people. But yeah, besides that, thank you for watching this pretty long review. I know it's taken a while for this video to come out, like I mentioned at the very start, and this is going to be a long video, but I thank you for watching through the whole thing. If you skipped the Mario Kart Rainbow Road section, that's fine. Like I said, you can always come back to it at another time if you do intend to pick up the game, but yeah. With all that said, thank you guys for watching. Let me know how you feel about the Switch 2, and let's see how much changes over a couple years. If I'll look back at this review to see if anything has really changed.